Good evening and welcome again to Wednesday Night Reflection, our time for breaking open the Word for this Sunday's coming Gospel. So this coming Sunday is the first Sunday of Advent, and we're entering into this time together. So let us take a moment, get ready to digest our Thanksgiving dinner, and prepare ourselves for the coming of Advent. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Mark. Jesus said to his disciples, "Be watchful, be alert. You do not know when the time will come. It is like a man traveling abroad. He leaves home and places his servants in charge, each with his own work, and orders the gatekeeper to be on watch. Watch, therefore. You do not know when the Lord of the house is coming, whether in the evening, or at midnight, or at cockcrow, or in the morning. May he not come suddenly and find you sleeping. What I say to you, I say to all. Watch." The Gospel of the Lord. What word caught your attention in this Gospel for Sunday? It really would be difficult not to hear the words, watch, be alert. Our gospel this weekend commands us to pay attention to what's going on in our world. There's a silly little bumper sticker quote that I recall whenever I hear this gospel. The quote is, "Be alert. The world needs more alerts." Moving on. These days of Advent always call us to pay attention in our faith lives to preparing our hearts and our souls for the feast of Christmas. But there's a synchronicity as well with our public lives. I think we're all called to pay attention to all that goes on in the world around us. Our faith tells us that we're working for the coming of the kingdom of God. St. Francis de Sales always reminds us to live Jesus. In order to do these things, we need to be immersed in, but not of, our society. It certainly is a challenge to be in the world, but not of the world. How do we do that? When I was younger and trying to learn how to understand this concept, one of my teachers showed me a way to do this. She said that we should pray with the Bible in one hand and the newspaper in the other. I understood this to mean that I should make every effort to be informed about what was going on in the world around me and bring all of that into my heart when I prayed each day. Looking at our world and our country, we know that there is so much to pray for. We could be doing a 30-day retreat and still have not had enough time to pray for all the needs of our world. It can be overwhelming. Jesus reminds us that it's not enough just to pray. That's good and it's important and it's necessary to our lives as Christians, but we can't stop there. We need to do something. We believe in our hearts as Catholics that our lives are built on faith and action. Thank goodness there are millions of ways to do something. There are many of us who want to and are called and are good at direct service, actual hands-on work that address the many needs facing our world: poverty, racism, human trafficking, nuclear weapons, climate change, war, famine, and that's just scratching the surface. These are really big-ticket items. And I personally am so grateful for the people who want to work for change on a systemic level to fight for those big causes. But many of us are intimidated by the sheer size of those issues, and we look for smaller, more local needs to address. Perhaps I work with some local organizations to help in an after-school tutoring program or a mentoring program. We know that education is the key to ending generational poverty. If my life is such that I don't have time to engage with one student, How can I assist those who do have time? Can I donate new storybooks to an after-school program? Can I help the mom with the stroller up the subway steps? If I'm concerned about safety in my neighborhood or worried about my kids traveling back and forth to school on public transportation, can I bring my concerns to a community board meeting or look for ways to work with others to improve the issues of safety in my neighborhood? This coming Sunday, we begin our Advent season. Lots of us think about acts of charity and giving something up for Lent, but what do we want to do for Advent to mark this holy season? How will we enter into this COVID Advent? How are we paying attention to what God is doing in our lives and in our very hearts and in our world today? Are we listening? What is God inviting you to this Advent? What do you need to be paying attention to? As believers, we can't stick our heads in the sand. We need to see what's going on in the world around us and consider what our response will be. For most of us, life is lived in little ordinary moments. Today, this week, this season of Advent, Jesus reminds us to look for one small way that we can make a difference. And in touching someone else's life, build up the kingdom of God here on 96th Street. Don't be afraid to look around and see what's going on. And once you've looked and you've prayed, consider what is yours to do and get out there and do it. Jesus says, watch, be alert. Happy Advent.
Do you like what you see? We are St. Francis de Sales, a welcoming, inclusive, and multi-ethnic Catholic parish that serves a diverse community strengthened by our commitment to Jesus. If you want to see more content like this for modern Catholics, please feel free to support our efforts by giving online. We also invite you to follow us on social media and to contribute to our work of ushering in the kingdom of God here on East 96th Street and beyond.